Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Kelvin here. For this video, we are joined by Kok Guan, who is a career coach who offers guidance and support to individuals who are on their career journey. So welcome to the channel, Kok Guan.
Thanks, Kelvin, for having me on your channel. Very honored.
Yeah, so can you share a bit more, like how do you become a career coach in the first place?
Okay. Glad to share that. That has taken quite a bit of journey actually. So Steve Jobs said in his one of his famous speeches, we can only connect the dots looking backwards and not forwards. So looking backwards, this is how it happened. So I graduated from engineering, and I started work back then in an expected role as an engineer in the electronics industry. So a few years from there, about roughly 3 years or so from there, I received a call out of the blue from a recruiter, a headhunter. Right? He said, Kok Guan, I know you're working here as an engineer and all that. Will you be interested to consider joining us as a recruitment consultant? So I was quite shocked, taken this totally out of the blue. Why would they look for me, right?
Right.
So, but cutting to the chase is that my curiosity led me to go and listen to her at the office and all that. And I found that, this is what they do as a recruiter. Quite interesting, but I held the thought. I said, thank you, I held the thought. I'm still happy to be an engineer. So what happened the next few years was quite fascinating. She followed up with me every year.
Every year?
Every year, yeah. So Kok Guan, how are you the past year? You're still in your engineering work? Any thoughts of moving, etc. Wow, very persistent, I would say.
Yes.
Then finally, right, on the third year, I was in my second engineering firm already, and I was just feeling quite drained at that point of time. This work has maybe given me some second thoughts. Then I remember her, right, because she followed every year. I called her back and said, is the position still open? She said yes. By then she had actually moved to another recruitment firm, a startup recruitment firm. So she invited me to meet her big boss who opened this firm.
Right.
So after that, after all the process, I got into the company. So I left my engineering world and went into a totally new world called recruitment. So I had to pick up new skills along the way. I've been talking to people every single day. Then I did this the starting was hard, by the way, because it was a lot of new skill set to learn. But I persevered and I did this for, the next 7 years. I stayed 7 years in that first recruitment company.
Right.
And then I switched to another one, and then a third one later on. So all in all, I stayed in recruitment for almost like 13 years. At that point of time, I was thinking that, and because of developments in the recruitment scene, plus my own, values and interests, some change. So I said I want to take a break from recruitment job. Recruitment is actually a sales job because you need to find the client, find the candidate, and close the deal, right? So I say let's take a break first. I took a 3-month break from recruitment and try to explore what I want. At this time, I got connected to a university in Singapore, right? And I went to talk to them, and eventually I got the job as a career advisor. They call it career advisor. It's actually a career coach, same thing. Yeah, so I went there and I was coaching undergraduates. Yeah, so a total change from engineering and recruitment. So I did that for more than 3 years. Then I transited out. I left to take care of something in the family, and then I explored my next step, and I eventually decided to start my own. So that led me to where I am now.
So in your new startup, you are still doing like career coaching?
I'm still doing career coaching. It's just that the target audience has spread much wider.
Right. Of all ages and like different jobs also.
Sure. Early career, which means those who just graduated and started working the first 3 to 5 years. Until mid to senior career.
Even bosses come look for you.
Some of them are bosses in their own right. Because they take care of a department or something.
Right. Quick pause. With Mumu, you can now check out your favorite company's latest earnings results, revenue breakdown, operating data, and some key financial numbers. There's even a section which shows analysis of the company, like what's the consensus rating, target price, and some detailed ratings by famous analysts. So, because Mumu is celebrating Singapore's 58th National Day, they have a deal for both new and existing users. They are currently offering a fantastic 5.8% guaranteed yield for a maximum of 80k for 30 days. To get the deal, tap on Me, Promotions, look for the 5.8% guaranteed returns deal. Then tap Claim Rewards to start the deal. As a bonus, If you sign up with my link down below, deposit $100 and perform one buy trade, you will earn a $20 cash coupon. And 2, when you deposit $3,000, make 3 buy trades and keep the money in your account for 30 days, you will receive 1 free C Limited stock worth around $80. And 3rd, if you deposit a total of $10,000, perform 5 buy trades and hold for 30 days, you will earn another free Apple stock worth around $240. So if you are interested, you can sign up to Moomoo using my link down below. With that being said, let's get back to the video. As a career coach, have you found any secret lobangs that can help me find a job easier?
Yeah, I think lobangs, like what you mentioned, are quite specific to the individual sector, industry, and job function. But in general, I would say the following. One of the very common ways to find a job is through job sites, right? Job portals. But I don't want to talk about the very generic ones, or
like
those
job
that
street,
people know.
JobsDB,
LinkedIn and all that. Some might not know that there are some more niche job sites that can lead you to a particular sector or area. So for example, e-financials leads you to financial banking related sector jobs. If you are looking for banking and finance, insurance related jobs, if you go to e-financial, there will be lots more and more targeted, right? Focused than a general job site like JobStreet and JobsDB. Another one is E27. So that's more for startups. So if you are keen to explore working for startups, so little known companies, this and that, you go to E27. One more thing is Cult Jobs. If you have heard of it. So if you are a designer, like you are into creative work, PR, social media, Cult Jobs is one site you can look up for a lot of concentration on such kind of jobs. So that's for job sites. The other thing will be recruitment firms. So if you want to enhance your chances and diversify your channels, get hooked up with a recruitment company, like what I used to do. So the recruiter can represent you and give you the opportunities that are probably not publicized even.
How do you even hook up with a recruiter?
2 ways. So one, you can of course do your online research on what are the, and based on your industry or friends' recommendations, you can approach the recruitment firm directly and say that you're on the lookout, you're active, and send over your resume and probably ask for a meetup. They will normally ask for a meetup to get to know you more.
But this is free, right?
This is free. Totally free. By and large, the recruitment firms will only charge the client. So the client is the employer hiring the position. So once the placement is confirmed, the recruitment firm will charge a fee to the client. The candidate normally pays nothing.
In a way, like recruiting agents are also motivated to help you find job.
Yes. Yeah, because
maybe they are even more motivated than you to find a job.
Yeah, sometimes yes, because if they can close that particular placement, then they will get their consulting fee, and then the consultant can get their commission if they over exceed the target and so on.
Yeah, I think those are some good tips. So it's basically websites that are specific to a certain sector and go through agents who are more motivated than you to find a job.
Correct. And thirdly is networking. I mean, recruitment is also part of a bit of networking, but when I say networking, I mean attend fairs. Like those who are in school, in university currently or poly, employers always go there for career talks and recruitment fairs. So make use of that, if you are still a student, to attend those fairs, because through those you can not only get to know yourself more on what you like and this not so like, but you get to network, right? With
you get to network with the people who are trying to hire you.
Correct, because they're hiring.
So there's also a direct connection already.
Yeah, and from there you can go on to LinkedIn and then reference back. Oh, I met you last or 2 days ago at the fair, and then you can get more there. So all these will enhance your chances.
So let's say I've found this job lah. How do I increase my chance of securing the job?
So actually a few main things. If you look at the whole process, it starts with your application normally, right? If you are going by the normal job site way, so you need to have a good and effective resume and cover letter. So before you instead of just clicking easy apply, quick apply, or just sending a generic resume to every single employer, please, I would highly recommend get to know the job scope and the employer to some good extent first. Do some research online, ask people from the industry or your friends who will have known this site better. And then you go and tailor your resume accordingly, because a one size fits all resume usually isn't effective. That means don't send a standard resume to every 50 companies. You
Okay.
should tailor a bit. The tailoring need not be major, you know.
Okay.
It can be a bit minor but significant. It's
Like-
as simple as reordering some points or putting in some points that are not present in the other application but present here because you know that this job scope requires this kind of skills
Understand. Okay.
and you have that or you have that experience. Bring it to highlight. Maybe put it as the first point.
So if it's like
use certain
an
words.
engineering company, you highlight more of your engineering in your final year project.
Yeah,
Those kind of projects.
something like this. Yeah, along
Okay,
the
okay,
lines.
okay. Let's say you have worked as a waiter, part-time job. Do you actually need to include this waiter position in your resume or not?
Yeah, actually it depends on how many of these part-time jobs you have. Because for let's say you're undergrad, going to graduate, and if you are in the position whereby you don't have maybe you only have one or you don't have any internships or attachment like that, but you have some part-time jobs.
Yes.
Only maybe it's like what you mentioned, F&B kind or retail kind
Yeah.
or customer service kind. Then you have to consider those already. You cannot just drop everything, right? But if you have some internships that are so-called more relevant, then you may want to consider dropping that. But it also depends on what job you apply to. Certain jobs which needs a lot of customer interface.
Oh.
Those skills that interface with customer, solving some problem there or conflict there.
Okay.
And if your part-time waiter or retail assistant job has that element, yeah, of course, I would recommend that you put it in as well. And
Understand.
mention
So it's good to
about
include.
the skill. Because they look for the skills,
Right.
the skills and
Okay,
attributes
okay.
from there. Yeah.
Understand. But how do I even write a good resume? Like, is there any way that I can reference or find a resume to edit from?
I think there are so many reference points out there.
Okay.
There are many sites. I mean, even things like Indeed and all that. I did mention Indeed just now. Indeed is a aggregator.
Yes.
So those sites that I mentioned, right, e-financials and all that are job sites. Indeed aggregates all this into it's like a search engine for jobs. So so Indeed, using things like that or the talent.com or Google, you can aggregate a wider net of jobs from where you can shortlist. Now back to the question about where can you find good resumes.
Yeah.
I think sites like that and many other sites out there, career related ones, would give you some, maybe a sample of good practices and all that.
Okay.
Even if you're in school, your school's website or career center site would have. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course, you can look for a career coach, where the career coach will advise would advise you on some of the best practices and recommendations of how to elevate your resume to a next level.
Here I also have something to add. You don't really have to technically write your own cover letter. You can right now already use like ChatGPT to write for you.
That's right. I mean, with the advent of generative AI, I think it's a well-known fact that more has gotten on to use that. But the key thing is here, is as good as what you input to it.
Correct.
So you must input the right things to it, and don't just take it at the face value coming back. Please personalize it as well, because what it gives you may looks okay and reasonable, but there are certain things that the ChatGPT would know about you, right? The nuances, the little struggles, maybe the little things that accentuate your skill in this level or that.
So it's a good starting point, but you have to like modify it a bit lah.
Definitely, and refine it a bit, tune it a bit. You don't get the wholesale.
Okay. Now we are at the job interview part lah.
Okay.
How do I even prepare for a job interview, or do I even need to prepare at all?
This is really important. Your earlier question on how to increase chances of landing a job, right? Besides resume, cover letter, it will be the interview.
Okay, yeah.
So just nice this question come in. So interviews got to prepare well, because it is good accountability for yourself, because you don't want to go to an interview and just go through there half-heartedly, right?
Yes.
It will show to the interviewer. So how to prepare well for the interview? The first step is always to do research on the company.
Okay.
So based on the JD, the job description you have, go and look up the company, study the JD carefully, highlight the key things, the skills and attributes that they are looking for and what you're supposed to do. So look up the company, talk to people in the industry who may be related to that company or working there before, find out more. From those inputs, right, you can try to preempt certain kind of interview questions, because interview questions generally fall under 4 or 5 categories only.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, so once you preempt certain interview categories and the questions, you can start to prepare them, right, the response. So these are the more expected questions. Obviously, during interview, there will be some unexpected ones that you have to hope it and respond to it.
Right.
But before the interview, you try to prepare as much as you can. And you use frameworks to frame your responses. There are a few frameworks like STAR, STAR, the 3 points, or the present, past, future. Which will take much more.
Basically, how you answer the
Basically,
question.
how you answer depending on which type of question.
Okay.
There is lah. Then after that, you go there. I mean, of course, psychologically and mentally, you must prepare yourself to be strong, because nervousness and all that will eat into you, right?
Yes.
But one way to counter nervousness is preparation, obviously, and then the other one is your state when you go in.
Right.
Don't go in with a state that at all costs you must get this job, because if you give yourself that kind of heavy pressure, you may then likely to mess it up, and all that. So don't.
I think that's a good tip also. Like for my first job, I was super nervous. Shit, I must like pass all the questions.
Yeah, the pressure, right?
Then in the end, I failed.
You nervous?
Then after a few interviews, right, I realized like, okay lah, this one just don't have to. Obviously, you have to take it seriously, but
of course,
you can just treat it as a normal chit chat.
Correct. Treat
conversation
as a
kind of thing.
Engagement chit chat.
Correct.
Of course, behind that, they are formally assessing you.
Yes.
But if you go in with that kind of engaging, trying to exchange each other information and sharing about yourself and knowing about them, you'll be a better state of mind than going there and say, hey, I must get this thing done well, otherwise I'm going to lose this thing.
So I realized that if you can chat in a friendly way, right, it actually increase your chances of getting a better impression than trying to like be very stiff like that.
In general, yes, I would say. But I also must say that it depends on the interviewer.
Okay.
Some interviewers are really quite more serious kind. And so if you chat in a bit more casual manner, he or she may not like it. So you must read the signs in the beginning, 5 minutes. From the handshake to the greeting. And,
correct.
And whether they do small talk or not, or they just go straight into the serious topic. So it's a bit of management on the spot.
Okay. There's one question that always stumps me during the interview. Like, so he will ask, what's your biggest weakness? How do you even answer that? Is it like, I'm a perfectionist?
Definitely don't say that. that might diminish your chances quite a lot. Yeah. Good question, and that's a very common and tricky interview question that many of my clients have asked me about, and some of them have faltered quite badly during their first encounter with this question. So first of all, let's diagnose this. What are they trying to ask? What are they trying to assess by asking this question? What is your greatest weakness? Why do they want to know that? So a couple of things they want to know whether you know yourself or not. Are you self-aware? Because if you're not even self-aware, which I think is a very important trait to have, then it may extrapolate to if you come to this job and you put into certain situation, you're not self-aware, you might not do so well, right? So second thing is, are you genuine and authentic in this response or not? If you are trying to say something like just now you say perfectionist, it will sound very contrived, and it's like a double-edged thing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a perfectionist, so I do everything very carefully and I give myself a high standard. So it's like turning a weakness to a strength, right?
Yes.
So most hiring managers don't like that. Yeah. So how to best answer this? As I say, right, go back to the authentic, genuine, and self-aware. So choose a weakness that's genuine, but does not directly contradict to the job requirement.
Okay.
Yeah. So for instance, if you're interviewing for a data or research analyst, of course you don't go there and say that you are having a weakness in analytical skills. You're shooting yourself in the foot, right?
Right.
So maybe you can say maybe you can think of, for example, some people are fearful of speaking in front of a crowd.
Okay.
Public speaking. And maybe this public speaking is not an everyday thing in this job, but sometimes you need to present, right?
Okay.
So, you really have a weakness in this. So how do you frame this answer? It's not simply by saying, my biggest weakness is public speaking. Full stop. Then you're just answering 10% of the whole thing.
Okay.
So you have to frame it in such a way, use the STAR format. Situation, task, action, result, right? So situation is, I'm poor in public speaking, presenting to a large crowd. What happens? I sometimes break down, I falter. And what has it cost you? Maybe it's cost me some besides sleepless nights, preparing for it, but when it crumble in front of the crowd, the thing doesn't go well, right? The presentation didn't go well and may not have effectively communicated the points to the audience.
Right.
So paint that picture. Secondly, task. The task means that, yeah, I want to improve this.
Okay.
Simply that, because my job sometimes need this. So STA, action. What do you put in place to do this right? Maybe you ask your colleagues and your family members to give you constant feedback. You practice in front of them. Maybe you join a Toastmasters club where expose you to, you have to present and speak one. And then maybe you even go to your boss and ask for more opportunities to present.
Okay.
Yeah, so all these are actions, right? And finally, there are the results. So what's the result after this? Maybe after 3 months or 4 months of doing this, you found that, the feedback from your friends or boss has been improving. You're getting less nervous, your eye contact is better, your communication of the words are more effective.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's to show that you're improving yourself.
Right.
So you don't just say my weakness is this and full stop. If you're not showing your self-awareness of improving yourself, then you're not completing this response.
But if you are improving it, then it's no longer a weakness already, right?
No, yeah. So it might not become a weakness, but most of the time it's still a weakness, but it's a lesser weakness. Yeah, I think that picture could be a more relevant one.
Right.
Yeah, because if it's now no longer a weakness and you're very, very strong in it, then yeah.
But what if you don't have a weakness?
Kelvin, everyone got weakness.
Okay.
I think it's almost impossible to find someone with no weakness.
Right.
So you have to really put some thought into it, the candidate.
You have to find out lah.
Yeah, there's always some weakness or things that you could be better in.
Okay.
So even if it's not public speaking, it could be sometimes even be you're too quality and focused and meticulous.
Okay.
Because that can slow you down in your throughput.
Okay.
Sacrificing space over quality. And that can sometimes be a problem, right? In jobs. So you know, moderate.
So it's something that you are not so good at.
Yeah.
Not particularly.
Maybe it's not particularly
like weakness.
Wow, it's a very fatal weakness or anything like that.
How can I find a job that has a good pay, good work-life balance, good boss, good working environment, good career path? Or this kind of job doesn't exist?
That's the ideal job for most people, right? Everyone, right? I think I cannot say that such a job doesn't exist, but it's probably a bit more challenging to find it lah.
Yeah.
I think first of all we have to be clear or aware of ourselves. What do we mean by a good pay, a good work-life balance? Like two things you mentioned, because these to different people could mean quite different things.
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, you have to sit down, and in talking to friends or career coach or mentor, whatever, iron out, establish what you mean by that. How much is a good pay? I think it also depends on your stage of life you're in
Higher
at that
than my
moment,
friends.
right? Yeah, higher than friend. Comparison is sometimes not a constructive thing.
Okay.
But anyway, so after you establish that, right, how do you look for that kind of job?
How do I look?
Even if it's a bit challenging, so you have to do in several ways. Obviously, research, everything back to research. You go online, you search out things like Glassdoor, LinkedIn. Glassdoor is quite a popularly used site.
Correct.
Used site for people who wants to know more about the company culture. Because there will be people from the company, whether currently or past, who speaks about the company and give rating or that.
Yes.
Although all these things I always caution must give a pinch of salt. Take it with a pinch of salt. Not all may be accurate,
Yeah, because it depends on your personalized experience.
Correct. Then talk to people from the industry. So these people can be your friends, family members, your alumni, your ex-classmates, whatever, who may be in various industries, right?
Okay.
And they're working already for a few years. They may be able to give you some insights, catch up over coffee and find out, now I'm in this thing, I'm looking for something better. What's your take on this? Then they will give you some ideas. Then you go and do further research. You can link up with people on LinkedIn also. If you say you're interested in A sector, let's say a tech sector.
Okay.
But which one within the tech sector has those qualities that you mentioned? So you go LinkedIn and maybe try to connect a few people out there, those that you may not know one even, and then reach out to them and have some chats lah.
Will they even reply if you suddenly reach out to them?
Depends on how you write it.
Okay.
I think if you write it very professionally, one of my recent LinkedIn posts talk about how do you personalize the invite, such that there are a few ways lah. So if you just click connect like that without any message, most of the time you will get ignored.
Okay.
So there's a way to increase your chances of getting noticed. So let's say you get connected already, then you can engage in a conversation, be it online or even in actual person, to find out more about that company that the person is in. Because maybe you're interested in a company, but I heard it's good things about it, but is it really true? What better way than to talk to someone inside?
Understand.
Yeah. So after all these data points, and then of course you go and search the job descriptions out there from job sites. Sometimes they will mention, but take it with a pinch of salt. Sometimes they mention, wow, good things about the job, right?
Good career path.
Yeah, I know that.
Tekan you.
but remember that those are ideal things that the people put into the job description. They also want to attract candidates, right? So whether this is true or not, you have to cross-check. And during the interview, so the last point is during the interview, ask them questions. Interview is not only for them to ask you questions, but for you to also ask the company questions.
Oh, you can ask them, how's the work-life balance here?
You can ask them questions, usually towards the end, they'll ask you, so Kelvin, we finished our interview. Do you have any questions for us?
Okay.
Now, this is also a part whereby if some candidates have, say, no questions, it's also a bit of a red flag for the employer, because
so
they want to see what you have thought about the company.
Okay.
Yeah, have you given some thought? No? So yeah, feel free to ask them about work culture there. Maybe you might not want to ask in terms of, is there a good work-life balance here? you know some interviewers will not take to that well.
Okay.
Thinking that this person is only looking for this kind of things, right? It depends on the hirer lah.
Okay.
So ask it in probably another way, to get a sense of how the culture, the working style is like there. And maybe back to, is that what you ideally want in a job?
I see.
So through this process, you can try to whittle down and shortlist some possibilities of something closer to your ideal.
Correct.
But whether you can meet your full ideal, I think it's always a challenge in the real world.
There's no perfect job.
Yeah, I would say there isn't a perfect job, because even if it's perfect, right, sometimes it will change after you go in. Like say good culture, all this, sometimes it change,
Depends on the boss and
the team lead change,
team
the boss change, it can change. So nothing is static.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the next question, let's say I got a job offer from company A, then I'm waiting for other job offers to come in. How do I delay the company A to say, well, not saying that I'm waiting for other jobs?
So first of all, you need to play this professionally and rightfully. So of course, thank company A for the offer and the confidence in you and all that. Take some time to understand the package and the details, and ask them, how long do you have to make this decision? Because sometimes, sometimes the companies can give you up to a week or even a bit more, and sometimes there are companies that say tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like what I say, I will induce a bit of caution in this. If let's say they are so rushed, that they must decide by later today or tomorrow, normally it's possible to be a red flag. Because they're rushing you because maybe in their back end process, maybe they have another candidate waiting. If you don't want, they just straight away go to that one. Or this super urgent role. Basically, the hiring manager is pressuring the HR to quickly fill this up.
Yeah.
So you also want to be a bit wary, cautious whether, because you don't want to be rushed into a quick decision.
Correct.
Then you make the wrong decision, right?
Yeah, you'll be working at the job for a few years.
Yeah. Normally, I would suggest to ask for, if you can, they can allow you for at least 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
To make your decision and revert to them.
Okay.
3 days. 1 day is too short. Unless you're very sure. Even if you're super sure, you should not be agreeing on the spot.
Okay.
Because you need to take a breath, take a step back, and consider the thing again.
Okay.
Now, if you can buy time, because you know that the other side, you can let them know also on the spot, when they call you or email you, that I'm in the interview process with a couple other companies. It's okay, because people in the market, in the active job loop, are interviewing, right?
Okay.
So there's nothing surprise. So you can let them know that actually I'm in the final stages with this other company.
Okay.
And we're waiting for their revert by next week or something. Are you able to grant me a week to come back to you?
Okay.
Whether a week helps or not, I'm not sure. It depends on the situation. But if you can ask for a week, and if they're okay with that, that's good. Then you go back to company B and say that you have received an offer.
Okay.
Right, because you have been interviewing, right?
Yeah.
So this company come back first. Then so by sending this message, you're trying to tell them that I'm actually very interested in your company's deal, or maybe even more interested. Maybe that's the truth, right? You're more interested in this, although I've received from there. So is there any way that they can expedite? Sometimes they can, but sometimes they cannot.
Okay.
So this is kind of part of life, part of career and life. So you need to weigh your things. Are you okay to, let's say you like company B so much, are you okay to forego company A when the 1 week comes or 3 day comes? So you forego that, you decline and then wait for this one, with the risk that this one come back and say no.
Okay.
But you hedge your things on this one, the B or C lah. Or if not, if you are fearful of the consequence of no job, will you then decide to accept company A? But once you accept company A, when company B later comes back, you are rightfully committed to company A already, and you should not be wavering lah.
But
so you must weigh.
Even if you accept, let's say company A lah, is it true that during the probation period, can you just leave the job within a few weeks, then go straight to company B?
Okay. During probation period, normally the notice period is a bit shorter. Yeah. Sometimes it's the same, but I think quite in some cases I know it's shorter. So yes, you can leave the job pretty fast to go to another company.
Yeah.
The only thing here is that you're leaving a job quite fast within the probation period, which is usually 3 months, right?
Correct.
Yeah, this won't be good for the look of your reputation and your kind of perspective from the hirer, right?
You're burning bridges.
You're burning bridges because they invested their resources to interview, get your things ready. Within a month, you are jumping ship due to the company B. I mean, on a personal note, I cannot say that you mustn't do this or you can or cannot do this. It's an individual choice.
Right.
Because some people do this because really the company B is much better.
Right.
And for the sake of your growth and future, sorry for company A to do that. But you must be prepared to bear the consequence that company A will definitely be very upset, very angry. They will blacklist you maybe. And your name in the industry. Industry is always small, however big it is.
Especially in Singapore.
Yeah, your words will get around. So you want to think twice about doing that.
Okay.
And if you really want to do that because of the overpowering, compelling factors on company B, make sure you mitigate the whole thing. Make sure you communicate well to company A that this thing has happened.
Okay.
But they will still be upset lah. But you can try to mitigate
so in essence,
consequences.
Just try to delay as long as possible before accepting the job lah.
Correct. But there's a point that you can't delay longer, so then you have to make a decision.
Should you even be close friends with your boss and colleagues? Or is it better to keep a professional distance?
To answer this question, it will depend on a few things lah. Yeah. But first of all, right, it's definitely good to be on a good relationship with your colleagues and boss, right? In general, it's good rather than lukewarm or cold, because a good relationship can lead you to maybe getting your way around better and faster and more efficiently during work, be it your boss or your colleague lah. But the cautionary thing is, if you get too close to your boss or your
we are one
teammate,
family.
Yeah, until like one family thing, sometimes the boundaries get blurred. Yeah, and sometimes they may even have conflict of interest or whatever.
Okay.
So it's like I heard of this from my friend lah, that very close at work. She and a colleague who is actually reporting to her.
Okay.
So this is the boss, right? So work quite a few years already, very close relationship and all that. So this boss will even protect this colleague to the upper management if there's something.
Okay.
So that's good, right? I mean, you have that advantage. But on the flip side, right, it may turn sour also, and it did turn sour. For that case, because there was something that they couldn't agree to eventually, and it didn't turn out too well in the end. And because they say, oh, we are good friends, right? How come you do this to me? Or how you say this? So beware of boundaries also. You don't want to encroach too much, whether you're the boss or the subordinate or just a peer to the teammate.
Yeah, so it's still better to be like professional.
Still better to be professional at work.
At work.
After work, yeah, okay, you can have your dinner sessions or karaoke. Okay. Like friends, but during work, in terms of work interaction, be professional.
Okay. Is it okay to date a guy or a girl from the same company? Let's say you see your colleague or even your boss is very chill lah. You want to date is it okay to do that?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Actually, interestingly, nobody has asked me that. And true enough, in my previous companies, I worked for a few companies, right? There were, I think, 2 of them where there were a couple dating, and eventually they got married.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I would say this lah. Depends on the relationship between the guy and the girl.
Okay.
Are they in the same team, same department, or are they separate department?
Same team.
I think, same team. Because if it's separate, it's much easier to handle.
Easier.
Yeah, the conflict of interest,
Yes.
the awkwardness and all that. Well, first of all, in front of people, you should be kind of acting, not publicly showing affection, right? That kind of thing. I think this thing is, some companies even have rules on that.
Yes.
Some companies are. But even if the company doesn't have, I think that's a sensible thing to do lah. So the most serious thing is any conflict of interest. Let's say if same team, and is it boss subordinate relationship or teammate relationship? It could be either, right? But even if, let's say boss subordinate, even more
The boss
crucial,
and the
right?
secretary.
Yeah, things like that. So there could be conflict of interest, right? Because in the dating and how people see the thing, there's some conflict of interest, they're getting some favoritism and all that.
So it's
Are you
bad,
able to deal all these things professionally and without people having the impression that there's something else going on there that
Okay,
is
okay.
underlying
Right,
or
right, right.
some favoritism.
Okay.
So I've seen also cases whereby same team, they got together, like obviously because like what I said, matters of the heart,
Yes.
hard to predict, right? You can't stop a feeling, right?
Yes.
So if let's say develop already and really it come to a point where they get a bit more serious, one of them left.
Okay.
Either they left the company or left the team or department and
Okay,
transferred to
okay.
somewhere else. That can be discussed, depending on how open the company is. So I think that would be the best way to handle it if you're in the same team.
Okay.
And even more so if they're boss subordinate relationship.
Okay, okay,
To
okay.
prevent any of these untoward consequences.
Right. So let's say I work at this job for a few years
Mm.
maybe 2-3 years, but my boss still doesn't want to raise my pay. He say there's no budget or whatever. Is there anything I can do to ask the boss to like start raising my pay?
If your company is not raising that means not giving you any increment for 2 to 3 years, is there something wrong with the company or yourself? I mean, you have to answer this question first.
Okay.
Because normally, unless there's a dire economic situation where they freeze pay, they announce freeze pay for this year, next year. Otherwise, every year there should be some increment.
Oh really?
Of course, the increment normally is quite
small. Okay.
quite a modest one, quite small one. You won't get like high increments. So first question to ask is there something about the company or yourself? Are you not performing even your minimal such that you, or even your required such that you're not getting anything? So maybe I think the more valid question in general case should be, you are getting the increment, the minimal or not usual increment, but you want to ask for more because you felt that you deserve quite more than this.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say if we're given this case, yes, you can approach your boss to negotiate that, but you have to prepare yourself well. Yeah, so you have to, this is probably off the appraisal cycle. I recommend it to be off the appraisal cycle.
Okay.
Unless it happens to be at the appraisal time, but even then, I think it should be a separate session.
Okay.
So you must fix an appointment with your boss first that you want to talk about this.
Okay.
Maybe one-to-one. There's something that is in my mind about
About
this thing. Yeah, I'll talk to you. But before you meet your boss, right, please do some homework. So search around in the industry, using sometimes common sites to use salary.com, payscale.com, that kind of thing, to see, or some of the recruitment firms, they have the salary benchmarking guide to see in this typical your years of experience and this job function, what do they typically pay in the market?
Okay.
Are you indeed lower? I mean, using all these sites plus, of course, your industry network, maybe will tell you, like some of these people that have met, they talk among friends, right? Their friends are in different companies, but maybe doing the similar thing. Maybe like much higher leh. What happening here? Is it because of the nature of the company?
Right.
Whatever. There could be a lot of factors. So using all these data points, you need to determine what you want to ask for. What is the salary you want to ask for? Let's say you want to negotiate, right?
Okay.
Then with that, right, how do you back it up? So you must tell the boss that, say, boss, I want this. Cannot be that's all, right? What have you done to justify this?
Okay.
So all your achievements, contributions, what difference you have made to the team, to the company,
Okay.
should be written down.
Okay.
and to be kind of presented to your manager that you've
But
done this.
isn't it like not enough? Because like you're contributing to the company, you are doing your work as paid. Then why should the company continue to raise?
Good question. So given that you're getting the very normal increment, and so if you make the appointment with your boss, you must have a strong feeling that you deserve more, right?
Okay.
So
because my friend earn more.
So when you want to justify this, two things, right? You can point to the market, okay, like that. So I'm below, something like that, in my years experience. But secondly, your ammunition must be, what have you done above your calling?
Okay.
Maybe your job scope says you do this, Okay, you're doing this already. So why do you justify a much higher thing, right? So for the case of my client actually did more than the job scope already.
Okay.
So actually, even a job grade could be deserving of even a senior already than entry level. So doing mentoring as well as guiding and even contributing to some thought leadership.
I see.
So you must be able to frame that you are going beyond your portfolio in order to have a better chance of winning your case of the thing. And be prepared to compromise, because the boss may recognize it. Okay, maybe you have overlooked this or whatever. But what you're asking for may be too high for the company. Company got benchmark. You cannot go above because equity problem. Are you willing to compromise? Usually it can come back somewhere in between.
Okay.
Yeah. But somewhere in between could be even better than your usual increment already.
Okay. One thought that I have is like back up your appraiser by finding another job in the meantime. Do you advise for this?
Back up your appraiser by finding another job.
So let's say, okay, I want this pay, but because company B is offering me a higher pay, can you like match this pay? Otherwise, I will jump ship.
Yes, some people do that, and some of them got their way.
Does it like reflect badly upon them?
I think there's a chance that it will reflect, doesn't come across too well to employer, because depending on how you put it across. I think if done not the correct way, you just seem like you're threatening to leave. Then some bosses say you leave. You don't want to be held ransom by somebody like that,
Correct.
That's detrimental to the company. If the heart is no longer there.
Okay.
And if the company isn't seeing you, seeing the person as somebody that they must keep at all costs kind, means seldom got such cases, but sometimes there are. Then they may not do something about it. They may let the person go. But if let's say the person is really valuable and it's imperative to keep the person for now at least, they may adjust and then keep you, knowing that you got offer elsewhere. But then knowing that you already did this, the impression is already there.
Correct.
So to the hiring manager, to the boss, they will remember already. Okay, so and so is like that. A few months down the road, he may do the same thing. He or she may do the same thing to me. Must be careful of this person already. So some bosses will take the caution already and make for some other provisions already,
so
to replace this person.
Try
even
not to threaten the company.
Never threaten.
Okay.
So it's how you bring it across. How you bring it across. Hey boss, I got this offer, like that. How? Or something bothering me, there's this thing. The way you put it across may spark a different response. So the second way may make them think deeper, and then really they overlook something to your welfare or your recognition. And maybe that may end up well.
One advice that I've heard often is that you should, if you want a higher pay, if you want a faster career progression, you should change job every 2 to 3 years. That kind of thing. So do you advise people to do that?
For this there are pros and cons.
Okay.
So you say 2 to 3 years, right?
Maybe even 1 year.
Or maybe 1 year. Normally I advise clients or candidates to stay for at least 2 years.
2 years, okay.
Possible, because that's kind of in my mind the minimal for the learning, the relationship building, and the contribution. But let's say if the pros of jumping, you say every 1 to 2 years, is that because normally when people jump, right, there's always higher prospect, pay, and all that growth. So if you stay within the same company, normally your increment will be so much. In a normal sense, there are companies who are different. So one good advantage is you jump and you get this advancement. So you jump again.
Then you jump back again.
Some people did jump back again if they still want you. So the growth could be salary, benefits, and even opportunities at work lah. Because maybe from company A to B, wow, the B offer traveling maybe to even global locations. Yeah, so they see the opportunity and go. So nothing wrong with that. But there are the cons also. So the cons of jumping too often, in this case 1 to 2 years, is that you never build a deep enough knowledge and network in one place. So if you didn't build that enough in one place, your next employer not that open-minded or more new age maybe, so to speak, they may see, because in back in the days when I was doing recruitment, most of the employers, if they look at somebody jumping around 1-2 years, they'll dismiss it. Back in those days. Now I think it's different. The things are changing. Say, hey, this guy is not stable. He has a checkered work history. Every 1.5 years he changed or she changed. If he or she comes here, wouldn't he change? There's a likelihood that he may jump after 1 year. So the cons is that one of the cons is that some employers may think this way and therefore reduce your chances of furthering in that opportunity. Secondly, the con is that you don't have a deep enough network and knowledge about one company. Because one advantage of staying in a company longer, and when I say longer, 4-5 years and above. Yeah, I'm not talking about 10-20 years. There are people who do that. So if you stay in the company 4-5 years and above, you will have quite a deep building of bonds and network and knowledge of how things work. It's advantageous for you to be carry on in the same company or in a similar kind of industry where you use the similar things, and your network and credibility is there.
But get a lower pay.
Pros and cons. The con is that you might get a lower pay as a result because your pay doesn't grow that fast as if you jump.
Right.
Yeah. So pros and cons, depending on what you're looking at.
Yeah. So you have to. Do you want a higher pay or do you want like deeper connection?
Deeper connections, knowledge, and better so-called credibility because you're more deemed to be more stable.
Let's say if I graduate now, is it better for me to chiong in my career life versus is it better for me to take a more relaxed approach to my career in my 20s? Then in my 30s only start to cash back up.
So if you give up the chionging now, as in the early part of your career, because the early part of your career you will have presumably the most drive and energy and that spirit, right? So most people want to put in a lot of effort in the first 10 years, for example, to chiong build out something, and then later on, whatever it is, they can a bit less stressful or whatever, if it happens that way. Versus if you work a bit, then travel around a bit, then come back, right? So the pro of working more in the beginning first, you don't go and travel and all that, is that you have time to build up your network, your credibility, your knowledge at work, and you have more energy then also in the early part of your career, so you can have the advancement quicker probably. Because if you take a bit of gap here and there in the beginning, you may lose some of the momentum and all that, right? And then you may then potentially suffer some bit of a disadvantage later on when you try to get back, and then people look at you, take a long gap, 1 year away, 2 years away, that kind of thing, right? All said, that depends on the employer, how you convince them. And I've actually come across on LinkedIn somebody by the name of Dexter Strong. He's actually somebody who from the US side, working in the US San Francisco area, and then after working for a few years, he actually took a break. Then he traveled around, and one of the places he came to is Singapore. And now he's based in Singapore, so he traveled around, according to his LinkedIn post, which was quite well received. He said that he lost all this money because he lost all the salary, right? By traveling around. But he gained something else. Wow, his eyes open, he see the world and all that, which cannot be replaced by salary. So depends on what you want. And now after that, he found a job in Singapore. And then after that, now I look at his profile, he's like an investor already.
Whoa. Okay.
So cases like this happen, although a bit rare. But I'm saying that just picking out a case that I saw recently. So depend on personal freedom of choice, but you must be prepared to
bear the consequence.
The possible consequence of this or that.
The way I see it is like if you are in your 20s, right, you have no responsibility. Then in your 30s, you are married. You are married. You can't travel already. Your wife will be angry.
Especially when you have a kid.
But then, so sort of lose your freedom to do what you want in life.
Yeah. But then you can still travel, but maybe you're talking about the long travel, right? Or
the
long
long
time away,
travel.
not the 1-2 weeks kind.
Yeah.
1-2 weeks you can go by taking leave.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you desire that long one, then you have a good point that in the earlier years, when you don't have a family commitment yet, is probably much easier to do that. So personal circumstances and choice.
Do you have any like life advice that you can share?
Now this piece of life, little nugget or advice, appeals equally to life and career,
Okay.
or even relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, which is be open-minded and curious to the outside world.
Okay.
Like what my company name Broccolize represents, because one of the philosophies behind that is you know sometimes something happen out of the blue unexpectedly. In career theory we call it happenstance. This thing just happened like that.
Okay.
I also don't know why.
Okay.
For example, somebody called me out of the blue do you want to be recruiter, Kok Guan? I also didn't know why then. So we call it happenstance. By chance it happened. But if you think deeper and you connect back, is it really by chance? By chance?
Okay.
Actually no, there's some seeds planted. So you need to be open-minded, curious, and take opportunities when they come and decide on it. So why the recruitment person called me was because I was working as a field engineer back then. I was out in the field, that means in the customer side, supporting them on their programming and the use of the machine. So through that, my connecting the dots tell me that I become more visible, right? Then one fine day, somebody might have recommended my name to this recruiter when they come asking around.
Okay.
So something that really seems happen by chance, like unplanned totally, may have some seeds planted already.
Right.
So my life advice would be open-minded, be curious, and when something happens that is a bit out of your comfort level, or maybe something you don't usually used to do, you may want to consider to do it, to try it, because sometimes they can lead you to somewhere that they have not thought of before. So how Broccolize came about was because of a broccoli meal, a zi char meal that has broccoli. I never used to like broccoli at all.
Okay.
So I find it very hard to eat. Then that night, my two British ex-colleagues, one of them suggested, let's order a broccoli. Broccoli, I was thinking in my heart, don't want. I was about to object to it. But later I think, why not give it a try? Maybe this broccoli is really good.
Okay.
So I gave it a try. It turned out to be so good. It changed my whole viewpoint of what broccoli is like. And therefore, years later, I named my company Broccolize, because broccoli plus realize your career and life broccoli.
Well,
so that's what I had to say. Be
Yeah.
open-minded, and sometimes you're actually planting the seeds for something else that can happen later on. You're building up towards it.
Okay, I think that we are at the end of our interview. Thank you, Kok Guan, for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge.
Welcome, man. It's a pleasure talking to you, Kelvin.
So if you guys need some career advice, right, I will just put his website, Broccolize, down in the link down below.
And my LinkedIn profile.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? Then you can just go ask him more questions.
Sure, welcome to make have a chat first to see whether there's something I can help you on in your career-related questions or predicament.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, bye.
Bye.